design all these intersections, then they ought to put in at least a 5-foot bikeway and a 3-foot sidewalk. Now, that's not my imagining. That's the DOT that says the Housatonic Greenway, part of the East Coast Greenway, should have that in this area. So we need to be able to be clear with the DOT when these projects come up, saying, this is not our imagining. This is what state law says we should be doing. So I think what I'm looking for is ways that we can build into everything that we're doing the same network. Eventually these networks will connect all of our schools. There'll be safe passage through from that school to that school. There are all these kinds of things that we're the only one that can do that thinking. The state is not going to do it, and even Complete Streets is going to look at us and say, it's your project. What is your planning on this? So I'm just trying to find a way that we don't waste any of our efforts. Make sense? Well, we'll agree to disagree then. And someone can put something forward, but I won't.
I guess what I'm hearing is you're saying it's better to keep them separate because sometimes when they're blended together, we lose some of the individual projects we want to do. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm saying just the opposite.
The opposite. So keeping them separate, you can line item things separately, but if you join them, you may lose some of those small little projects that you lost.
I'm not saying keep anything separate. I'm saying make this a project.
Okay.
We now have 10 people that are working on the same committee.
Okay.
When we sit down to work on a Complete Streets project, we should know all the other projects that we have lined up on our wish list all the time. Even though we're not discussing that with the state Complete Streets.
No, I'm only talking about the name. So should the name stay the way it is, or should we change it? That's what
I'm saying we keep the name the way it is.
And what is the name again?
The Stratford Housatonic Greenway Committee.
Okay.
Because eventually we're going to end up with SHG on signs.
Okay.
Stratford Housatonic Greenway.
And Samita's recommendation was to name it what?
I said the title should state clearly that it's a joint committee of Greenway and Complete Streets, but the definition below says it's hereinafter referred to as the Greenway Committee in the entire body of the, bylaws. But it's just a name. I mean, it's like.
Okay, so both things can be right.
It's up to you all how you want to do it.
All right.
Any other? We don't need to. Yes, George. Yes.
Just sort of listening to the deliberation, I think, from my opinion, when I hear Greenway, it's very specific. And when I hear Complete Streets, it also is very specific. So I guess, is there sort of a combination? So is it the Housatonic Greenway / Complete Streets Committee? So that way there you're depictive, because some, in a name, in marketing, right, when you have a name, you try to make the name as obvious as possible to the mission. And so and I got to tell you, I'm not really versed on the state or the local and what anyone else is doing. So I guess my question is, number one, what would be the harm in combining them? I guess is my first question. But number two, are there other precedences set throughout the state where they've combined those two entities like we're trying to do? Because I think the idea of combining them is wonderful, because I do think that they really are synergistic and they go together, and we should be thinking about them at the same time. I think that's a good thing. So the question is, how do we want to be perceived by, for state funding, federal funding, our peers, our closer towns and municipalities? Is just Greenway the way we would get the most attention, or do we add the Complete Streets? And again, I don't know either way. I just throw that out there as an observer.
May I speak, Mr. Watson?
Sure.
So I worked in New Haven for almost a decade. They have a Farmington Canal Greenway Trail that connects from Hamden and up north to, almost to Union Station in New Haven. And then that, proposal is to link to the East Coast Greenway Trail and further take it to the eastern coast of Connecticut. And then they also have a complete streets manual, like, town of Stratford has, but it was one of the very first that was adopted by the town. And with the complete streets manual, they were able to accomplish all the bike ped improvements on many of the internal roadway network, like local roads. If you go to New Haven, biking is so common there because, people request, improvements through See-Click Fix, which is an online portal where you can, the town staff are made aware of an issue or request. So we should be proud that Stratford is one of the very few towns in Connecticut that uses the term complete streets, has a complete streets policy, has a complete streets manual, and has gone as far as getting awarded the funding for implementing phase 1, which we are almost at 90% design stage. This is a very rare situation in Connecticut. Besides New Haven, I don't even think Bridgeport has accomplished yet a complete streets. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't know, but maybe they have implemented complete streets, but I don't know if they have a policy in place or adopted. Maybe they do. But we are one of those very few select towns and cities that are fortunate to have come this far. To drop that name shows, you're going backwards. That's all.
Listen, we can argue this forever. A lot of what Complete Streets is a funding revenue stream. Every single state and federal program has a name attached to it. And I'm sure you will agree with me in that sense. So 10 years from now, Complete Streets might not be the same as that 10 years ago it was livable cities, it was, there have been all of these terms. The Housatonic Greenway is a network that Stratford is committing to that combines all of this. It combines our suburban travel, it combines our rural travel, it combines our school travel, it combines our recreational travel, it combines heavy use, it combines freight very rarely used, it combines people coming from out of town, it combines people doing local shopping. It's a different way of thinking about it, whereas you're talking user-oriented versus just strictly program-oriented. It gives a different focus. And I know that was part of what, in talking to Complete Streets people, they appreciated that we had so much information already about greenways. Right. They thought, hey, these people, they're not the hicks we thought they were. They looked at our documents earlier and incorporated a lot of that information and said, these people have done the right thing. So we're not giving up anything. And I would think that if you were to talk to the Complete Streets people in their national campaign, they would feel the same way.
Do you think we should push it up the ladder to maybe the mayor to make sure that we're positioning this new committee correctly? Again, for funding and for understanding of what we're trying to achieve. Because I'm not disagreeing with anything anybody's saying at all. All I'm saying is that sometimes a name can really get you something that maybe without that name it can't get you. So I just think we need to be cautious that the name is in strong representation of what we want to be trying to accomplish. I guess I don't see the harm of going either way, mostly because I really don't know.
I'll go back and look at all of the documents we have on greenways in town. And a lot of those will never become complete streets.
No, I understand, but I'm saying, I'm not denying combining all of that. I think we're all here in agreeing that. It's so all the complete streets literature, all the greenway is all coming together. The committees are coming together. So why shouldn't the names maybe come together in one?
Well, I ask that you guys read the Article 1, Section 1 and Section 2, because it is in there.
No, I'm not saying it's not. This is all about the name. I think,
okay.
Yeah. I think the mission's there. I think the paperwork is there. I think the rules and regulations are there. I think the bylaws are good. It's just the name. That's So that's a discussion, right?
Let's live with that. My suggestion is we live with it. I will ask MetroCog people. I will email some of my complete streets contacts nationwide.
Okay.
Ask them what they think.
That's a good idea.
If we're positioning it correctly.
Yeah, okay, good.
Are we okay?
Harold, just a quick question. Why exactly, I mean, I was listening to all this, and I'm pretty new on this committee as an alternate, but why would we want to take that out of there? As a citizen in this town who wasn't as involved as I am now, I never even heard of Complete Streets, honestly. I'd heard of the Greenway, but never knew what Complete Streets were. And I would imagine that's similar to many people in town. And what is the harm to put that in there? I mean, it doesn't matter about a sign that says SHG. I mean, we can fix that later. And if we find later that we need to rename the committee, why can't we rename the committee, taking Complete Streets out later if that is the way it needs to be? But I don't see taking that out right now makes any sense to me.
The problem that I see is that we had put all of our energy and effort into Complete Streets, and we were putting nothing into our Greenway. So you end up with a situation where we end up with these dead-end sections.
At least I had heard of the Greenway. I mean, I never have heard of Complete Streets. I've lived in town 34 years. I'm not a newbie.
We're trying harder.
So to take that out, to me, just means nobody will ever hear of it until you start doing something on the roads or wherever wherever the work is being done. Again, I'm new, 3 months in, but it doesn't make sense to me. It should reflect what this group does, and it is a combination of both of these groups. So why would you take that out?
Because it doesn't reflect, I think, our true purpose. Yes.
Maybe we have to put it in the mic because they're recording everything for the public.
Thank you, Karen.
Karen Rodia. When you first brought Complete Streets to Stratford, one of the big reasons that was explained to Greenway committee members that it was important to have that name incorporated somewhere was for availability of grants through the national organization, and that if we didn't support that name somehow, that we may lose out on opportunities on a national level. And so when you're talking about renaming it, it's a committee. You're not committing what the actual Greenway is as that name. You're naming your committee only. So to have the name, the Stratford Housatonic Greenway and Complete Streets Committee makes absolute perfect sense, because now you've fulfilled that need in case there's national money available through Complete Streets, and we would have access through that name.
Okay, I do not believe this would prevent us from doing anything at all with Complete Streets, and a Complete Streets person would look at this and understand exactly what it is.
Okay, I mean,
Because they are focusing their initiatives on towns that are not just building a section. This is not just a downtown improvement or a Todd improvement grant. This is a grant for creating a network. So they're going to start questioning Stratford is, we gave you money for this, what have you done beyond it? So I'm going to close the discussion on this.
Okay.
I appreciate everybody's comments.
Thank you very much.
I still love everybody. We already voted on this, I believe, correct? Did anybody bring up anything to rename our bylaws?
I think we need a motion to accept the last editorial changes as Susmitha went through. So I move that we make those last editorial changes.
Which are they?
Such as the planning board, the planning commission, those minor editorial changes.
Those we already accepted. And anything else?
But
I
we
don't think we
voted on
voted on those, Harold.
the maximum 4-year, I don't think we voted on those. We
Okay.
agreed that they needed to be changed, but I don't believe we voted on them.
I'd actually like to make a motion to change the title to include the complete streets. So it would say Stratford Historic Greenway / Complete Street Committee.
You mean Stratford Housatonic or historic?
Stratford Housatonic,
Oh,
yeah, just adding / Greenway, so complete streets after the word Greenway Committee. So Stratford Historic, sorry, Stratford Housatonic Greenway / Complete Streets Committee. That's the motion I'd like to make.
Point of order, can an alternate make an alternate?
Yes. She is seated tonight. Any discussion? We're combining that with the other changes that are made on this? No, we're not.
We have two separate motions, neither of which has been seconded.
Right, neither of them have been seconded. So now let's go back to our first motion of the changes minus the title of the bylaws.
I second the first motion with all the editorial changes.
Okay,
Second.
minus the bylaws title. Anybody second that?
I just seconded it.
You were first, you seconded, okay. Anybody? We've already discussed this. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, aye. That goes 4-0. Okay, now we're gonna bring up, will someone give me a motion? Will you restate your motion again?
I'd like to make a motion to change the name of this committee to the Stratford Housatonic Greenway / Complete Streets Committee.
Anybody second that?
William Boyd, I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
3-1. No.
What's that mean?
Means I voted against it. So it's 3-1.
Oh, it's 3-1.
Means it passes.
All right, oh, okay. Okay.
So motion passed, yes. Okay, next thing that we had on here, we have, that's it?
I just
We have
want,
one other thing?
no, I just want to let you know, next month we'll have a public hearing on the POCD amendment to adopt the housing plan, which was previously adopted by the town council, but was not included in the plan of conservation and development.
A point of, may I ask a question of you, Susmitha? I saw that there was a document that has a list of all of the proposed zoning changes and planning changes that are going to be brought up for the plan of partnership housing that's going to be voted on. Is there any way that we could get copies of that document now?
I don't have copies here because it's a huge document, it's online, but this is the entire document that you would be reviewing, and I will send it as part of the next month's package. This is just
So you're
the
going to print
inform.
the whole thing?
No, I cannot. We don't have the capacity to print in-house.
But is this something that we're going to have to be voting on?
Yes, I will email the link. It's on the town webpage. It's a 30-page document, 30 to 35-page document.
That's the Stratford
The housing
Partnership.
plan that you worked on.
You guys already have that. What I'm saying is that we're now following up with zoning changes that
We
we're
haven't.
going to be voting on.
No. So the way this works is you cannot change zoning without that being referred in the plan of conservation and development. So the past plan, the current plan that we have does not include the updated housing discussion discussed by the housing partnership and they developed the housing plan for Stratford and voted by the town council. So first step is to amend the POCD to include this updated housing discussion as part of the POCD. That gives the legal foundation for you to start working on the zoning changes. So the first step is to get the POCD amended, and that's what you're doing next month.
Okay. Anybody want to offer a motion to adjourn?
What about the tennis courts?
That is not being discussed, that I believe was handled by
Yes.
zoning.
So before I left for vacation, I wanted to finish up all paperwork on this because I was thinking that usually the town council meets in the first week of every month. So unless that matter gets referred as an 8-24 review from the town council to the planning commission has no authority to discuss an 8-24 review. So in this case, what happened was previously a determination was made that it probably needed an 8-24 review, which is a municipal improvement review for improvements to public parks, playgrounds, any substantial improvements, or acquisition of land or leasing of town property, anything that is town related. But when I came back from vacation, I got to know that the town council did not refer it, and the town attorney has determined that it is not considered a significant improvement because you already have tennis courts there. You're just replacing the tennis courts. It's similar to the analogy that I was given was that repaving the roads. If every one of them comes before the planning commission, then the planning commission would be swamped with all those reviews. But so in this case, it wasn't treated as a significant improvement, so it did not require an 8-24 review. So unless the town attorney tells me and the town council that it needs an 8-24 review, I cannot place it on the agenda. So that had to be removed.
You okay?
Well, just to clarify, it's doubling the number of tennis courts, it's relocating a batting cage, and it's removing 7 mature trees. But it's not a significant improvement?
Well, I had the same question in the beginning. So they said it is also, in the state statute, it also says, it seems that renovation of an existing facility also would not require an 8-24 review or something. I mean, it was the town attorney's opinion, and I'm going by his opinion.
May I ask a question? If we, in that immediate area, there is swampland that tends to flood, and there is a swale that's there somewhere. I didn't actually go over and look at the property, and my apologies for it, but there is a swale in that area that will be disturbed in some way. It's part of what they're moving around will eliminate, or from what I could see looking at the information. That's where we get into trouble. Bunnell, we didn't do any kind of a review of the new ball fields there. And I just was watching on our public TV that the new floors they're putting in on the first floor of Bunnell are having to be replaced because they've discovered that the concrete is phosphorescing, which means the water table is so high that the new floor they're putting down on it won't last, and they cannot get a builder's certificate on it. They're going to have to pull up what's there and put down a waterproof membrane in it. All of that could have been looked at had we looked at the flooding issues at Bunnell when they came to us to say, we're not affecting any of the water at all. Because that whole area is underground stream.
Susmita, did the Inland Wetlands Commission look at this location?
I do know that John Casey, town engineer, has given some comments and is working with the engineer and architect of the project. And also the conservation superintendent was made aware of the trees impacts, and she was communicating with the landscape architect of the project on the trees replacement. So I'm not sure if it has, to go before inland wetlands, but I can confirm that for you by speaking with Kelly Kerrigan, Conservation Superintendent, tomorrow.
Yeah, I would be curious about things. I'm not saying this is the case, but could someone ram something through without a review by arguing that it's not a substantial improvement? Somebody should be looking at this. If not, the Planning Commission, certainly inland wetlands should be if there is significant loss of trees and a swale.
I think it will definitely go before the Parks and Recreation Commission for improvements and voted on, but I will check with Kelly on the inland wetlands and I'll get back to you tomorrow.
Also, did we get that staff report electronically? I don't remember seeing it.
Oh, which staff report?
These tennis court staff report.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did get that.
Yeah, and I posted it on the website too before I
About 5
left.
pages, I think.
Would you be able to send the answer to his question to all of us? Thank you.
Thank you, Smith. It's good to have you back from vacation.
Sorry,
Even if
I annoy you.
We argue,
Just
but
doing my job.
we are friends, so it's okay.
Well, with that being
else?
said, I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Anybody second that?
Second.
All in
Aye.
favor? All right, be safe till the next time, everybody. Come to the Greenway Committee meeting. Come and visit our first meeting.